Well, hello there. Today on this video, I'm going to tell you about 6 awesome places near Durango, Colorado that you may not have heard of. These are places that are sure not to disappoint. Durango, Colorado is located in the heart of southwestern United States, near the Arizona border. The town of Durango is surrounded by the mountains on the west and the north sides. The first awesome place in the area surrounding Durango, Colorado that you may not have heard of is Mesa Verde National Park. Mesa Verde National Park is located about 35 miles west of Durango, Colorado on Highway US 160. Mesa Verde National Park is the largest archaeological preserve in the United States, which includes more than 5,000 archaeological sites and over 600 cliff dwellings. It is best known for structures such as Cliff Palace, thought to be the largest cliff dwelling in North America. Starting about 10,000 years ago, the area had been inhabited by nomadic Indians known as the Foothills Mountain Complex. Over time, the population evolved to a basket maker culture, and by 750 AD, the Pueblones had developed from the nomadic basket maker culture. The Pueblones survived using a combination of hunting, gathering, and farming of crops such as corn, beans, and squash. They built the Mesa's first pueblos sometime after 650 AD, and by the end of the 12th century they began to construct the massive cliff dwellings for which the park is best known. By 1285, following a period of social and environmental instability driven by a series of severe and prolonged droughts, they abandoned the area and moved south to locations in Arizona and New Mexico and other areas south. There are primarily 3 areas that are developed for viewing, which can be best viewed by the hikes. There are the Moorfield Trails hikes, the Chapin Mesa Trail hikes, and the Wetherill Mesa Trail hikes. And there are also 3 park ranger-led hikes, which I highly recommend as the best way to truly experience what the life was like 1,000 years ago, living in these pueblos. But be advised that you have to arrange these through recreation.gov about 2 weeks in advance. So it's very important that you make reservations. And they cost a little bit, but it's not much, just a few dollars. The next awesome place in the area surrounding Durango, Colorado, that you may not have heard of is whitewater rafting in the Animas River. Durango is known for whitewater rafting, kayaking, and canoeing in the Animas River. The Animas River Valley begins in the heart of the San Juan Mountains north of Durango, and the valley runs through downtown Durango and extends further south. Because the bulk of the water in the Animas River is snowmelt, from October until April, the Animas River has a fairly low level of flow. As the mountains north of Durango become exposed to more heat as the summer progresses, with more and more snow melting and feeding the Animas River with snowmelt water, the water level rises and the whitewater rips right down the Animas River. The whitewater rafting becomes more interesting. There are several vendors in Durango that rent kayaks, rubber rafts, every imaginable river vessel under the sun. In addition to the boating, the city of Durango has invested in building a multi-use paved trail that goes along the side of the Animas River from one end of town to the other. The next awesome place in the area surrounding Durango, Colorado, that you may not have heard of is the Durango and Silverton Scenic Railway. The Durango and Silverton Scenic Railway is unlike any other railroad, or for that matter, transportation system in the United States. There are several services that it provides. The San Juan National Forest is very beautiful and scenic with many mountains and lakes and streams in between those two towns. This has created an opportunity for the Durango and Silverton train to be a scenic ride that you can't get any other way. In fact, there is one stop along the track in the wilderness area for hikers who want to go backpacking or want to climb the three 14,000 elevation mountains about halfway in between Durango and Silverton. There's also a stop on the Colorado Trail for hikers. But there's also people who just want to ride the train in between Durango and Silverton because it's very scenic going through the wilderness area. Other than walking, there's no other way to see the area where the train operates. There's one other service which the Durango and Silverton Railway provides, which is a railway ride from Durango to Silverton and then a bus ride on the US $550 million highway back to Durango from Silverton with a hotel overnight stay in Silverton. It's really a pretty nice service. There's a service which takes patrons to a place called Cascade Canyon for a picnic and opportunity to walk around and see the area in the national forest. The next awesome place in the area surrounding Durango, Colorado, that you may not have heard of is Handy's Mountain Trail. In recent years, some hikers have developed an interesting hobby, which is called bagging the 14ers. In the state of Colorado, there are 58 mountain peaks which exceed 14,000 feet. Because of the difficulty of climbing a mountain at that elevation, given the thin oxygen at that level, it's considered to be quite an accomplishment. There is a mountain, really it's a little closer to Silverton, but still, as the crow flies, only about 60 miles from Durango, called Handy's Mountain. It's really not that difficult of a 14er to bag, so to speak. You can hike up this 14,000 foot mountain just like you were hiking up a big hill. And when you get to the top of that hill, there is an awesome view in every direction. It's only about 3 miles one way from the trailhead, and you only gain a couple thousand feet in elevation from the trailhead, called the American Basin Trailhead. It's a lovely hike, and I recommend it. The only fly in the ointment relating to the hiking of this mountain is that, well, there's two. One is that it should be done in the summertime because at 14,000 feet, the mountains have a tendency to accumulate quite a bit of snow. So it should be done in the summertime, preferably from July until mid-September. And the other thing is you can get to the trailhead one of two ways. The short way through Silverton is terrible. It's really an awful road. And so the smart thing to do is to take the other route, which takes you to Lake City, Colorado, to the American Basin Trailhead. Is a lot more manageable road. The next awesome place in the area surrounding Durango, Colorado, that you may not have heard of is Backpack the Colorado Trail from Silverton to Durango. Colorado Trail is a national treasure. I've heard some people say that if you like the Rocky Mountain National Park, then you should hike the Colorado Trail because it's 567 miles of Rocky Mountain National Park. The Colorado Trail being 567 miles is something that most people would not take on simply because few people have 6 weeks of time laying around that they can set aside to go hike some trail, no matter how beautiful it is. And so what you can do is pick off a slice and go hike that. The San Juan mountain range has been described as one of the prettiest mountain ranges in Colorado. And the Colorado Trail from Silverton to Durango is about 75 miles of trail that runs right through the San Juan Mountains. And it is quite beautiful. And quite a few people can set aside a week to 10 days to hike those 75 miles. The section of interest starts at Silverton and continues to Durango, which is 75 miles of the Colorado Trail. Turns out it's the last 75 miles on the west end of the trail. Section of trail, you will see waterfalls, you will see mountains, clear mountain streams, beautiful forests and pastures, and clear blue skies, especially if you go in September, because in the summer you will encounter rainstorms May through August, but not so much in September. Pick one of the weeks of September is probably the best choice. You can expect to hike anywhere from 8 to 12 miles a day, and so it'd be about 5 days, 5 or 6 days. And maybe you want to slow down one day, stretch it out to 7 days on the trail. It will be an experience that you never will forget. Amazing, beautiful views that you can't see any other way. The next awesome place in the area surrounding Durango, Colorado, that you may not have heard of is hike the Castle Rock Trail. To get to Castle Rock Trailhead, you drive about 28 miles north. From the trailhead, initially, you go through a short section of beautiful forest where you'll see in the spring or summer lots of beautiful flowers, including columbines and many others. And then you'll go through 2 very long switchbacks, which will take you around to the side of Castle Rock. And the trail slopes upward toward the back of Castle Rock, which is about a mile or so back from the front of Castle Rock. And when you get to the back of Castle Rock, the trail will turn to the right, which is to the north, and you'll go in a big semicircle around to where it meets another trail that goes up the top of Castle Rock, and you follow that for about 3/4 of a mile. If you go too early in the spring, then you'll see quite a bit of snow. When I went, I had about 32 inches of snow, but the top was compacted hard enough that I didn't slide down into it. And then when you get to the very front or the eastern end of Castle Rock, you will have a view that you will remember for the rest of your life. It's just amazing. Looking over at the eastern San Juan National Forest in the wilderness area, it's just absolutely so beautiful. It's definitely worth the little 6-mile round trip hike and about 16 or 1,700 feet in elevation gain. And I highly recommend it. And these are the 6 amazing things to see near Durango, Colorado.